Hey, welcome everybody. We will be live in less than 2 minutes. So before going live, let's have a little teaser and get all ready.
I found someone new now. I have more room, no more formats to chain me. On the same page, we are effortless, schemaless, living in the future, you and me, made for us, serverless, living in the future of the clouds.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this next workshop here on getting started with Python and NoSQL with Apache Cassandra, and Sarma and I are actually going to take you through this. So yeah, let's progress just a little bit. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Aaron. I'm a developer advocate. I used to work at a lot of I used to work in e-commerce a lot. Spent about 10 years or so in that space. Most recently I was the NoSQL engineering lead for Target, where I built out a lot of like big distributed systems. I'm also the host of the Apache Cassandra Corner podcast. So, hey, if you're using Cassandra or AsterDB and you have a great story to tell about it, hey, reach out. I'd love to work with you on that. And I've also written a couple of books on distributed databases as well. So, hey, let me introduce our special guest, Sarma. Sarma, why don't you tell us about yourself, bud?
Hey, nice to be here on this podcast or sorry, webcast. Thank you very much. I started YouTube channel a long back. I'm happy to have 5,000 subscribers. I also make content for YouTube as well as Udemy, mostly Cassandra related courses or content. Done a lot of open source projects which are helpful for the community, and I'm thrilled to be part of this workshop today.
All right, excellent. So, hey, with in addition to Sarma and I, there's a whole bunch of folks who put work into creating all this content and keeping us online. So yeah, I'm just one person on a bigger team, but hey, just shout out to the rest of the team, especially Cedric, who's hosting us right now. So yep. All right. So hey, just a little run through on the agenda. We're going to continue our introduction here for just a little bit for some housekeeping things on the tools we'll be using today. We're going to talk through some use cases, as well as the data models that back those use cases. Then we're going to talk like data loading and data generation, and then we'll get into like serving things out with like a RESTful API, and then that'll be about it. And along the way, we'll have a few like hands-on sessions planned that I suppose I could click the next slide to kind of talk about some of that. Obviously, if you're here and you're watching us, you found YouTube, DataStax Developers. That's our channel out there. We're also going to use Mentee today. First of all, as a way to get to know you, our audience, a little bit better. But then also at the end to kind of have a quiz, and the top 3 leaders on the quiz will actually win a coupon to take one of Sarma's courses for free. So that's an awesome deal, by the way. And of course, we have our Discord as well. So if you don't want to, if you have an issue that's going on and you don't want to put it in the YouTube chat, you can always hit us up on our Discord channel. And that as well will there's people in there watching that who can help you out. As for the tools today, in the chat, I already saw someone asking, hey, is there anything I have to download for this? And hey, the answer is no. Everything we're doing today is going to be on GitHub and Gitpod, as well as DataStax's AsterDB. So everything that we're going to do hands-on for this workshop is out in the cloud. So no need to worry about installing anything. Okay, well, let's go ahead and flip over to Mentee for the survey and the quiz. Oh, you know what I should do? I should actually start it, shouldn't I? Yeah, let's do that. There we go. Okay, so I've started Mentee. And if I go over here and say Mentee, it should show the code. Maybe. Oh, I wonder if Nightbot's not running, maybe? I bet you that's it. Oh, I have to press I. Okay. There we go. We got that. Oh, I see 2 people in there. Outstanding. Okay, so let me just put the code in the chat as well, just so that people see it. 43, 41, 70, 29. There we go. And you can join that at mentee.com. That should be good and easy for everyone to get to. You can also use your phone for this. Actually, I recommend that if you're running the workshop on your computer and maybe you want to do Mentee on your phone, that's always pretty easy to do. Oh yeah, and the QR code. So yeah, I can show that with I. If anyone wants to see the QR code, again, that's an easy way to go ahead and get that into your phone. All right, so we have, we have 66 online. So inside Mentee, 15, 16, 17. All right, we're getting there. Maybe go another minute here, just to give some folks a chance to join. All right. Well, hey, we got 20, 21. All right, we're getting folks in there. Maybe we'll progress to the next screen here just to kind of get started in the interest of time and all. There we go. Okay, so of course this is just a couple of questions for us to get to know you, just 2 specifically. All right, so where in the world are you? Basically, what you can do is you can take a pin here. Yep, and people are already doing it. Feel free to go ahead and put down where you are. And this is always interesting too, because it allows us to see where in the world people are joining from, and it's kind of cool that we can all get together and kind of learn together a little bit. So yeah, I see lots of folks in India, Europe, and of course US and Canada. That's good. Usually we have a couple in like Brazil and Africa as well. Oh, yeah, there's one in South America. Outstanding. All right. Well, I think we've I think we're good here. Let's jump to the next one. The next one is going to be simple. Now, of course, this this workshop is going to be focused on Python, but we know that all kinds of folks out there, all kinds of developers, use AsterDB and Cassandra. So it's helpful for us to know, which language you prefer. What's your primary language? So feel free to enter that in. I don't see any coming through yet, though. Oh, I wonder if there's a. It should be like creating a word cloud.
Aaron, looks like there is a small bug on the Mentee site, Mentee page. It doesn't show anything, just the submit button. And what I see is, what is your primary programming language? ? And then the answers are not there.
Oh,
basically. Enter a word. Oh
Yeah,
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 now
it's
I
a
can
word
do
cloud, so you can
this.
just put whatever you want in there. Yeah, yeah. So I see Python and CPP and Python. Um,
Yeah, there
yeah,
is one
Java and
problem
R.
is the
There we go.
page.
PHP. Yeah.
Yeah, the page itself looks blank and white. So
Oh,
I
okay,
don't know if
okay.
it is
So probably
Chrome.
not the most intuitive thing, huh? All right. Well, of course, we're seeing, as expected for a Python workshop, we are seeing a lot of Python out there. So hey, that's good. That's good. A lot of folks with Java. Hey, I'm a Java guy myself, so love that. Love that.
I see PHP
Yeah,
a little
PHP.
bit, so that's cool.
All right.
And obviously we are asking programming language, so Cassandra is small.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. I think what we can do is move on here. Okay.
You know what I'm surprised about is Python came out top, like Java is the second. That's surprising.
Yeah, we've been noticing that a lot actually, which is why, we I kind of welcomed the chance when you asked me if we could collaborate on a workshop to do this, because I knew that Python is one of those that we keep seeing more and more folks wanting to know more about, wanting to see more stuff done with Python. So I'm like, oh, this would be awesome. Sarma's got that repo that we can bring in, and yeah, this would be great. Anyway, so yeah, so our topics for today, we're gonna be looking at doing some like beginner-ish, intermediate level Python, and Cassandra, of course. We're going to work on some data modeling, or specifically, what we'll do is we'll look at the models that Sarma has built, and we'll talk through them a little bit about some of the reasoning behind certain decisions there. And of course we'll go through the test generation and loading. Um, yeah, Sarma did a great job in building something that will like kind of generate this random data, because that's really one of the hardest things with testing a big distributed system is getting a lot of data to actually put it through the paces. So we'll kind of show you a little bit about that too. And then of course at the end we're going to expose that data with some RESTful services using Fast API with Python. So it's going to be pretty seriously cool. All right. Well, of course, kind of the main thing behind this all, the main thing on the stack, the bottom of the stack, is Apache Cassandra. And for those of you who are new to Cassandra, that's okay. We're actually going to take you through a nice, easy way to work with it today. But the cool thing about Cassandra is that it's big data ready. It's easily linearly scalable, built out to support high amounts of like read and write throughput. Kind of the main thing that helps it do that is that there's no like primary node. All of the nodes kind of work together, share data, share requests. Any node can handle any transaction, and that's actually one of the things that makes Cassandra so highly available and so sought after. Actually, is that when you have something that kind of works like that where everything is kind of working in synergy, so to speak, is that it's hard for a system like that to go down, which is really what we need in today's world, is something that's like highly available. And then really, of course, kind of the what I think is the coolest feature of Cassandra is the fact that it allows for geographical distribution, so it's like data center aware. So the cool thing is that you can have data centers on like East Coast US, Central Europe, and then like Asia Pacific, and you can keep all of that data in sync yet local to where your users are. That's such a huge advantage. And then of course, it's like platform and vendor independent. Cassandra's an open source tool, so nobody really owns it other than the Apache Software Foundation. And you can build it out into any cloud. And you can really run it on just about anything. We have demos going years back of people running Cassandra on like Raspberry Pis. I don't recommend that for production, but you can do it if you really wanted to.
So one thing, it already covers a lot of points over there. This is the only true masterless NoSQL database
Pretty much.
that I just want to point out. There is no other NoSQL database which is so true masterless.
Right. Right. All right. So, of course, we talked a little about Cassandra. Well, let's talk about AsterDB, because this is what's going to make working with Cassandra really, really easy. So essentially, AsterDB is a database as a service that's built on Apache Cassandra. And the cool thing is that you can deploy it to all 3 major clouds. So no matter where you have your services built out in, you can have your data like essentially being local to your services, which is really, really important. So this is the this is the database we're going to be using today. And if you haven't used it before, you'll see just how easy it is to spin this up and get it all connected. So of course, we're going to be using the Cassandra Python driver. When we fire up our Git pod instance for developing out in the cloud, you'll see that it's already going to be installed. However, if you're on your own, you can install it just by using like the Python package manager, known as pip. It's just a simple pip install Cassandra driver, and that should get you the most recent one. Otherwise, Sarma, you had a couple of great points in your repo about, how to get it if you don't have that constant internet connection, like, maybe going out and downloading it, and then bringing it over on a flash drive or whatever. But you made a point about that if you go the manual route, that there might be some additional like enterprise Linux packages you have to pull down with it or install.
So usually on the Linux servers, if they were built properly, you will already have those enterprise Linux packages, extra packages already available. Okay. Then when you don't have internet, what we need to do is to get the driver as a wheel file, which is understood by the Python or the pip install, and you just manually install it. What I noticed is after installing the driver itself, you might not have all the optimizations enabled. So we might have to do some extra work.
Sure.
But the basic stuff should work.
Yeah.
And we are talking about only when you don't have internet, when you cannot run this pip install live on the server.
Right. Okay. So hey, we've kind of brought you through the introduction. Let's talk about the use cases that we're going to be applying this to today. So really, we just have 2 simple use cases. We have a very simple employee database. Actually, it's only 1 table, but it'll allow us to do some simple things and convey some understanding rather quickly. And then, Sarma has a more detailed, more complex like sales backend application that we're going to be looking at today too, and that's where we're going to kind of get into a little more on like the data modeling aspect and why that's important, and why certain decisions are made in terms of building out like your primary keys. So really, the employee table is pretty simple. It just keeps track of employee names and employee ID numbers. When we get to the actual table definition, you'll see just how simple that is. But that's going to allow us to, again, to do to really familiarize ourselves with the tools. And then when we get into something complicated, we'll have that foundation that'll help us out there. And then the sales application, mainly that is meant to keep track of like, users or customers, as well as like the products that they can buy, and then putting those products together inside of an order, and kind of processing that through. So that's really what that sales application is going to be about. Sarma, did you want to add anything on that, or?
Right. So when I was working on like a random data generator, right? Every person here, or even a small child, understands how to order something online these days.
Yep.
And sales is the most easy thing to explain, because you have a customer and you have some products to sell, and all you do is make that customers buy the products. So it is such a simple concept to explain. And that's the reason we picked this. And as we go into the data model, we can see how it is actually modeled for Cassandra. And that's why we'll talk about it as we go.
All right. Excellent. Okay. So, hey, that is actually going to take us to our first hands-on here. So the main thing that we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to start going through the README. So if you haven't found, let me just make sure. If I do a thing, GitHub out in the chat, that should. All right. I don't see that coming back. Yeah, I wonder if Nightbot is not running out there. Here, real quick. Let me. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, it just took a second. Slides and instructions. Okay, so that's the link in the YouTube chat that you want to go to find the README where we actually have all these steps laid out. So mainly what we're going to do is we are going to create our AsterDB instance, so the database on the back end, and then we're going to start our Gitpod, which is like our cloud development environment. So we're just going to do those couple of steps, and then we're going to continue on. So let me jump to here. There we go. Oh, no, that's the wrong repo, of course. Here we go. All right, I got the right one. So the thing you can do in this step 2 here is that we have this create AsterDB database button. And then underneath it, you see things like database name for workshops and key space name for sales. And we can add that as we go along, but that's really all there is to it. So I'm going to right click here and say, open this in a new tab. All right. So I am actually going to click on Google to, oh, hey, I already have an account, so I'll sign in. But if you're brand new, this is where you'd create a new account. And again, you can also do single sign-in with either Google or GitHub. But I'll actually switch to sign in because I know that I have an existing account. And you know what's funny is that first one, the sign up page had the old branding, and then of course the login, as you can see here for existing, has the new branding. That's interesting. I might have to take that up with our Astra folks. So I will say sign in with Google. And this is going to spin for a little bit, and my Aster Dashboard should come up here in just a second. All right, here we go. Okay. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? What I should have done, let's dismiss our messages here. I'm actually going to terminate this workshops database so that you can see me build this up from scratch. There we go. Let me get rid of my existing one there. All right, so now I can close that, and let's do a create database. So now this create database button brings up this window. I'm going to say my database name. If I look back at the README here, should be workshops. Yep. All right, and my key space name right here should be sales. And we'll talk about key spaces in a little bit and what that all is. But essentially that it really just allows you a way for you to like kind of organize your tables together. For the provider, to stay on AsterDB's free plan, you want to stick with Google. That's important. And when you hit the drop down here, what you'll see is all of the paid regions are grayed out, but the free regions are actually able to select. So for me, because I'm in North America, I'm going to pick US East 1, which is Moncks Corner, South Carolina. So I'll click that, and then I'll say create database. All right, so this is going to take a little bit of time here for it to come up. Let me just double check the README. All right. So one thing I'm going to do while we're waiting is you'll notice that I have this generate token button. Now, when we create a new database, it is going to create a default token for us. But that token's not going to have the permissions that we need to do things like, create tables and edit some things inside the schema. So while we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and click this generate token. And as you can see, I get my token details auto-generated here. Oh, it was supposed to ask me to pick a role, but oh, this is the auto-generated. Okay. Yeah, okay. So this is the one that's not gonna have enough. So delay my last there. Let's see here. How about I do a manage organizations? I think that's it. No. Ugh.
Aaron, you just pick your databases in a default organization, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. So now you just click on the settings on the left menu bar. Right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's where the tokens are.
Oh, I wonder if my my database is still on its way up though. Here, let me click into that once. Well, pending, but says it's okay. Well, let's see here once. Well,
It's still creating.
yeah, I think that might be part of it.
Yeah, we can talk about while it is creating it, right? So basically what I noticed is when we want to do anything with Cassandra, you set up the servers, you have multi-node, then you install the software. Look at AsterDB. What we do is just select the organization, create a database. 45 seconds later, you have a database running on a multi-node Cassandra, basically.
Yep.
So the settings I was talking about is on the left, left navigation panel, where you can get the tokens.
Oh, is that where that is? I suppose you're the one that just created a course on how to go through this. Yeah. And I went through it, and I forgot that. Yeah, sorry, folks. We've had a bit of a restructuring of the dashboard, so every now and then I guess I get a little confused myself. So now if I say token management, oh, outstanding. Yeah. Thank you, Sarma. Do you work for DataStax or do I? No. All right. So
no. So the UI, the interface is changing or evolving so fast that sometimes we have to look around, but everything is there.
Yep. So let's go to this select role dropdown, and I'm going to say database administrator. And you'll notice that I get all these permissions here, which is great because I'm going to need them. And I'm going to say generate token. And your token is going to be generated. So you'll have like your client ID, client secret, client token. You can say download token details, and it'll actually like download it in a CSV that you can hopefully see at the corner of my screen here. But really, the main thing you're going to need is the token. So let me see here. Let me grab the token itself, and I'm just going to paste that off screen here, but we're going to use it in just a little bit. Okay, so we have our database and we have our token. Now, if I go back to the README here, you'll see that we have this Git pod set up. So you can do the same thing we just did with going out to Astra and creating a new database. You can do a right click on the open in Git pod and say open in new tab. Now what this should do, and I think I actually have, my login credentials are probably, or my login session is still good out there. If you haven't logged into Gitpod before, it should ask you to pick your GitHub account and then to authorize that GitHub account so that it can be used by Gitpod. And the idea is that what this is going to do is this is going to pull down the repo of where the README was that we were just on. you'll notice at the bottom here that it's installing a few things. You can see that the Astra CLI is going in. There's the Python Cassandra driver. So this is actually building up. This is actually building up our development environment right here. Is anyone real quick? Is anyone watching on how we're doing on YouTube? Just it looks a little choppy on my end. Oh, and then some asking, yep, to choose the database. Database administrator role. Yep, that's the one you want.
So for this workshop, obviously, we are going to create tables. We are going to do some admin related things. We are choosing database administrator role. But when we really do it at work for production workloads, I would suggest not use the database administrator role for the tokens. You have to see what your application is doing, obviously grant limited number of privileges. And when you also select the role, it shows all the privileges it is granting. So just make sure you understand what you're giving away with that token. You might be giving away too many privileges. YouTube video is looking okay, Aaron. I don't know if it is choppy for others. Like we can just get a feedback on the comments. Like if somebody can say, is it looking good or?
Somebody was saying that there's an echo too. It's like hearing Darth Vader. That's pretty funny. Well, I tell you what, I can run the if you look at, oh, actually, you know what? The good thing about Gitpod here is that we're already in the README. So the README that we were just at, I don't need to bounce back, over to my other browser tab. I can just go right down to this next command, which is this Astra setup. So let me copy that and paste that command in. Now, of course, when you start doing this, Gitpod's going to ask you, or your browser is going to ask you, hey, do you want to want to allow copying and pasting? And of course, you want to say yes. So I'm going to do this this bash rc Astra setup. And what that's going to do is that's going to start the Astra CLI setup in a different session. And that's important to make sure that you can get all of your environment variables for Astra CLI set up properly. So this is where it's asking me for an Astra token, which I just pulled down before. So I'm just going to, oh, yeah, I wouldn't be that lucky. That's a good idea, Sarma. Here, let me do that. There we go. And let me adjust my screen real estate here. There we go. Yeah, no, that's why I have glasses too. Nope, I totally get it. All right, let me paste that token in just like that. And the token you want should have this Astra CS : prefix on it. That's how you know you're pasting the right thing. So if I paste that in, and it should say something like, hey, configuration's been saved. I can do like Astra DB list, and it should, yep, there you go, show all of my databases. I have my learning one also in there. That's in a hibernated state, but the workshops one I just created is indeed active. So if I go back up and look here, yep, AsterDB. Oh yeah. Here we can list out our key spaces as well. So if I do Astra DB list dash key spaces, and I want to do that for the workshops database, just do that. There you go. You can see I have that one key space called sales. And of course, too, if I want to see any other meta information about the database, I can do an Astra DB get workshops, and that'll come back and tell me things like, yes, you're in GCP. Here's your database ID. Here's your GCP region that you're in. Here's the creation time. So I think that's, oh, yep. Okay. So one of the other important things that we're going to do here is, in order for our Python code to connect up to our database instance in Astra, it needs two things. One, it needs that token, which we just put into Astra CLI. And the other thing it needs is the Secure Connect bundle. So we're going to download that by pasting this command in right here in step 3B. And I'm going to type it out just so that you can all see it. AsterDB, and it's download-scb, and it's -f for file, and then we want secure connect workshops.zip, and we're pulling that from the workshops database. So just like that. And when I run this, you'll see that in our project explorer over here on the left, that Secure Connect bundle has indeed been pulled down. And again, that's really important because that's where our Python code is going to look for it. All right. Oh, hey, all fine now. No echo now. Oh, good. All right. Good job, Cedric. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So if I continue to go through here, we have a .env file that we're also going to configure. So this command up here, we have a excuse me, an env sample file. Really, we're just going to copy that env sample file to a .env, and then we're also going to do a git pod open on it, which will allow us to edit it. So now you'll notice that we have our default. Ooh, I have an extra here. Right, mental note is an extra double quote on the end. If you have that, yeah, that's totally my fault. But if you have that problem, you'll see that this bottom line here will like be in red. So yeah, make sure that you get rid of that. But you'll notice that that reference to the Secure Connect Workshop zip is right here for our Secure Connect bundle. For our client ID, we are just going to type the word token. Just like that. Simple enough. That's it. Just literally the word token. And then for our client secret, this is where we're going to paste. Oh, I need to copy my token again. I totally missed that. Hang on. All right. And this is where we're going to, yes, paste our token, just like that. So yeah, so again, my bad on the env file. So for the folks at home, make sure that you're in this line number 4 here. Make sure you've only got one double quote on the end. And there's a question in the chat on what's in the Secure Connect bundle. And the reason that we're using that is typically if you were to go ahead and build up your own connection to Cassandra for like a database running locally, or just typically Apache Cassandra, you would need like a username, a password, you'd need the connection endpoint, and then if you're using SSL or TLS security, which we are, you'd need the like the certificate repository, you'd need the certificate key, and and then it's like the cert file or something like that. It's like, yeah, it's like I could go look it up, but there are like 3 components to the TLS secure connection that you need to have. Yeah. That trust store, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Sarma. But anyway, because we want your connection out to Aster to be both easy and secure, we've gone ahead and built it out into a Secure Connect bundle that you can just point it at, and it'll do all the heavy lifting for you. So that's the idea with it.
I can also add a few things here. Like if you see the client ID and client secret, that's the credentials you're going to pass from your application to the AsterDB for authentication. But if you look at the user ID passwords here, like credentials, they're already pre-encrypted, meaning AsterDB provides you that connection bundle, which has the public key and the certificates required to decrypt it on the server side. So basically the connection bundle has all the certificates, and the credentials you're passing using that client ID and client secret.
Yep. Thank you, Sarma. All right. So, hey, so once we've created this .env file, you should be able to do a source.env. There we go. And now if I say env pipe grep Astra, all caps, I should get back 5 lines, but all of the info that I've put in there above in that env file should be here. Does it use mutual TLS? Yes, it uses two-way TLS. That's right. All right. So, hey, oh, and then one last thing we can do before we go back to the presentation, we can actually double check that we have the Python driver installed. And that's very easy to do with a pip show Cassandra -driver, just like that. And as you can see, I do have version 3.25.0 installed. All right. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, go ahead.
And just to remind, the Python Cassandra driver is completely open source.
Yep. All right. So let's jump back to our presentation. Okay, so we've done this. And now, hey, we're going to talk some Cassandra data modeling here. This is always fun. Oh, and for some reason my my slide didn't come out quite right. You know what? I suppose I can, you know what? You're going to watch me fix this. Oh, that's right. It's hidden by that. Hey, here we go. How about we just connect that there? All right. and then I can put this back, right? There we go. Okay. So now, much better. Okay. All right. So typically when you're doing relational database modeling, you know, one thing that you know we're all taught in school when we first learn how to work with relational databases is, you know, that we have we try and keep our data like separate so that it doesn't have any like what they call transitive dependencies. And the idea is that our employee data should be separate from our department data. And if we want to pull back information about employees and their departments, we do a select from employees, join on departments. But in Cassandra, that's a little bit different. In Cassandra, what we're doing is we're actually building a table to suit our queries. So the idea is that if we want to query an employee with their department data, well, we'll just build a table that will hold all that data together. And the idea is that, yeah, we're data modeling for performance, tables to suit a query. We get fast reads out of that. We get a simple data model out of that. You know, some people will point out the drawback that, yeah, in Cassandra, you end up duplicating some data. But, you know, what you have to understand is that the relational database theory came about from E.F. Codd's paper that he wrote in 1970 when he was a consultant for IBM. And even 10 years after that, in 1980, it's like if you wanted 1 gigabyte of disk, you're going to spend $1 million. It was that expensive. And now it's like I can go to Newegg and I can buy a terabyte drive for $40. You know, so disk space isn't an issue anymore. You know, duplicating data isn't this big horrible thing. Now it's operational time. That's really where the money is gained and lost. So kind of bearing that in mind, let's take a look at this data modeling from a Cassandra approach. So we have a sales key space where we have an employee table, and we're going to also build out our sales tables as well. And the main thing to remember here is that your key space is really just a logical structure containing your tables. It's a way to kind of keep tables that support an application together. So here's our employee table. Again, you know, like I mentioned, this is very, very simple. You know, we're just doing a create table, sales for a key space, .emp for employees. It has an employee ID, that EMP ID. Then it keeps first name and last name. And then really the, you know, kind of the main thing here is that we're defining our primary key by employee ID. So that's how we're going to query this table. That's how this table is built to serve its data, is by that ID. So that's what we're going to use when we pull data back on a per employee basis. So real quick, let's have a look at the 2.1 simple demos folder. And inside it, there's this file called 01 cast demo EMP Cassandra table.cql. And it actually has the Cassandra query language definition inside of it. So if I go ahead and open up the README here, go back to Gitpod, you can see in my Project Explorer on the side, I can open up that 2.1 simple demos. And inside that 01 demo EMP, when this pop-up comes up, you can just say, yeah, don't show again. That's fine. But here's where you can see we have that create table syntax. And then, of course, we're also just inserting, like some random data into there, just so that we have something in it. So it'll insert employees 1001 and 1003 of Scott Tiger and Queen John. And then we'll go ahead and it'll just do a select from that table just to pull it back and just show what's all in it.
Aaron, did you notice who is Scott Tiger?
No, I did not.
That is the Oracle's default demo.
No
user.
way.
Scott Tiger. Tiger is the password.
Sarma, I had no idea.
Old
Today
days.
I learned, right? Yeah. That's funny. Oh, let me quick jump back here. I think the only other thing I wanted to show in this slide, and I know I'm not in presentation mode, and I apologize for that, but really this is just hey, let's actually we've already done step 3A, so that'll be easy. For step 4 in the README, we're going to do the simple employee demo. So let's do that quick. So if I go back to the README here, you'll see that I can scroll to them for simple demos. So to start this for 4A, I'm going to CD directory. And Gitpod does have autocomplete in its terminal, so you can just hit tab and that'll. All right, so now we're going to do this get cas cluster info pi, and really all this is going to do, it's a simple. You know what? I can bring it up and show us here too. Really, all it is we're just doing a simple select of cluster name and release version from the system local table. Now, all Cassandra nodes and all Aster nodes will actually have this system local table. So this makes for a great way to kind of test out your connection, just make sure everything's working. And then you'll see it's actually going to put in this cluster name and the release version on the end here too. So if I go back to our README here, see, I just need to do Python get cas, and it autocompletes. I can go ahead and hit enter. And if I've done everything right with my security and the env file, I should see this connected to CNDB. That's the name of the cluster. And you'll see that it's running this 4.00.68.16 version. So this should be proof to everyone that hey, we can connect and we're okay. So if you're having trouble getting this to connect up and work, please say something in the chat. We've got folks watching the chat so they can help you out. Again, I think kind of the main thing to watch for was just in that .env file, I had an extra double quote on the end. So just make sure you only have the one. But hey, as long as you can get this far, I think we're in good shape. All right. So yep. So this is the response you should get back. Now, the next step we're going to take is we're going to run that CQL file that we just looked at, and we're going to it's actually going to build that table out there into our Astra database. So I'm going to do this Astra DB CQL shell on the workshops database. I'm going to do a -f for file, and then this 01 cast demo EMP Cassandra table CQL. So I'm going to copy that and then paste that down here. And this is going to load our CQL DML or sorry, DDL, the data definition language, as well as some DML because we have Scott Tiger and Queen John in there. All right. Oh, it sounds like our audio might be breaking up. Ugh. All right. Well, so the next thing that we can do here is that with this table created, we can go ahead and actually run this read write Cass EMP Py script. And again, if I look at that in our Project Explorer here, you can see that we're pulling in a database connection. We're we're creating a prepared statement actually. And then we're inserting a new row into that EMP table. And then it looks like Sarma's gone ahead and put in like a random integer to go in there, as well as a UID for both first and last name, just to get some random data and get that in there. And then it should go ahead and show some of that data on the end here. So if I jump back to the README, oh yeah, go ahead.
So quickly on the Python code, right? I have seen a lot of people coming from different platforms to Cassandra, and when they're writing their Java code, there is a confusion of, oh, there is a read consistency and there is a write consistency, meaning with every query, you can have different consistency levels. Demonstrate that inside the Python code, this is what you would do. You will have predefined consistency levels which are suitable for your application, and then you can just use them at whichever level you need. And also all the statements, I do a prepared statements because that gives you performance at the application level. It's like a precompiled, correct, precompiled prepared statements. And then there is a demo of how the consistency levels are used. We basically predefine these consistency levels even before the application code is written, which is in the settings, global settings. And obviously you don't want local quorum. You can tweak this. While writing, you just write it with a consistency of 2. And when you're reading, you read it with local quorum, whatever is suitable for your application.
Yep.
But it's all there in the Py code. That way, at least if somebody is looking at a sample code for Python, all these best practices are already there in the code.
Oh, excellent. And that brings up a good point, Sarma, is that I think I missed putting a slide together on consistency levels, but it's important to call out in that that is one of the benefits of Cassandra, in that you can control how many replicas you'll wait for a response from before continuing on, and that's exactly what something like local quorum is doing. So yeah, no,
trust me, that consistency needs its own presentation. It cannot be a single slide.
All right, so I'm going to run this Python read write Cass EMP script, and it'll create a session out there. Okay. Yeah, it did insert that one row, and we're getting employee 1001 Scott Tiger back. And if we look at all the rows that are in here, you can see that here's our auto-generated employee that we've put out there. So yeah, that totally worked. All right. So now, if I scroll down a little bit, here's where the fun part comes in. We're going to do a very little bit of working with Python with a RESTful API. So if you've ever used like Fast API and Uvicorn together, essentially what it is Fast API lets you expose your Python methods as RESTful endpoints, and Uvicorn is a very, very small and simple web server that's just going to help host your Python code out on your as a website basically. So I'm going to copy this Uvicorn simple demo API app command. I'm going to paste that down here. And when I run that, you notice I get it to say, hey, here's a port available on 8000. You know, do you want to make it public? Do you want to open a browser? I can say open browser. You'll notice that it's detail not found, but we'll come back to that. But really, what I'm going to do here is you see this plus right here in my Git pod at the top of my terminal, you know, more towards the right. I'm going to use that to create a new terminal session. And really what I'm going to do from here is interact with my Uvicorn web server. So simply put, we're gonna run some curl commands. Now, for those of you who've never used curl, it's a you know, like a command line web utility. Lets you hit you know, like web endpoints from the command line. It's very, very useful, and it's actually very ubiquitous too. I forget his name, but I actually follow the guy on Twitter who's the creator of curl. It's basically written by like one guy, and then, you know, he's had some other contributors along the way. But I mean, that utility is so ubiquitous. Like if you bought a car in the last 5 years, your car is running curl, I guarantee it. So here, let me go ahead and use curl quick. Let's do a curl -s for silent, and X. And if you haven't done a whole lot of like web requests before, we're going to do what's called a GET request. So I'm going to type that in all caps. And for our local IP, we could either say localhost or 127.0.0.1, which is what I'm going to do just as an example. And we want to go to port 8000, and we want to go to the endpoint of cluster info, just like that. And I'm going to jump to the next line because I also want to set a header content type of application JSON. Just like that. And if I run this, if I did everything right, yeah, as you can see, we get a web response back here with our cluster info, you know, kind of like we did in that Python script before. And the cool thing about this is I can actually take this /cluster info, and I can go to the web browser that opened before that I ignored. I can paste this on the end here, and look at that. Now we're getting our you know, our data actually in a web browser. So yeah, that's kind of how this all works together here. And if you want to, you know, you can take a look at this simple demo API code, and you can see that, hey, this is where we're preparing our statement. Here's our actual like CQL. I actually did build out an employee object class that we can use. And right here is where we're exposing this method to the web so that we can go ahead and use it as a viable endpoint. So yeah, I think we have a couple other of examples here.
So
we can get back to the presentation, but go ahead, Sarma.
Yes. So, you know, earlier when you started your Fast API web server, and I was working on the Git pod earlier. For example, if you did not capture what port it was running on and everything, you want to click on the ports tab.
Oh, good point.
Right next to the terminal. Yeah, there you go. That's very helpful to see what applications are running inside your Git pod. And here is the quick link to, oh, these are the ports which are open. Yep,
that's right. No, good call, good call. All right. So now let's say I wanted to add a new employee. So I'm a big hockey fan. So of course I'm going to do Wayne Gretzky with employee ID number 99. So again, I'm going to copy this curl command here, and I'm going to go to use that backslash there to go to the next line. I'm going to do a -D to send a payload. And my payload is going to be a JSON of EMP ID 99, first name Wayne, last name Gretzky. And then I'm also going to send that a header of that content type application JSON. And I'll do this, and well, I do get an employee ID back, but the real thing here is whether or not I can query that with curl and do a GET request and actually pull that back. And oh, you know, important to note, I should call out that when creating that employee, I did what's known as a post request. So different from a get, it's where you're actually like creating new data and posting it out somewhere. That's the idea behind it. Anyway, so if I paste that that URL here to get employee number 99, it comes back with Wayne Gretzky. And likewise, I can grab this employee/99, go to my web browser, and I'm going to replace this cluster info with employee 99, and it also comes back. All right. Oh, and of course, I also built a an endpoint with a limit here, so that you know, I can pull back like the first n rows of the database. So if I do an up arrow on this command here, oh, did that? Well, I'm not sure what that did, but that copied a whole bunch of. That's okay. I'm going to start over. We'll just copy this blurb and paste it in there. And basically what that's going to do is a get of the top 5 employees from that table. And as you can see, here we get our auto-generated employee. Wayne Gretzky's in there, and then Scott Tiger and John Queen are in there also. So yeah. And I think that's it. All right. We can go back to the presentation. So let me jump back to here.
Yeah, well, one small thing here,
Oh, sure.
Aaron. Basically, what we covered so far, right? I just want to give a very quick rundown. We spinned up our AsterDB.
Mhm.
We created a key space, okay? And using the Git pod, we basically had the Astra CLI connect to AsterDB. We were able to create a new table, which we are storing employees in this case.
Yep.
Using Python code, we were randomly able to generate data and put it into the table, which is in AsterDB.
Yep.
Using Fast API, which is a Python's component of HTML or HTTP kind of interface, we're able to get and post data into the AsterDB.
That's right.
So basically, all the data is stored in AsterDB. We are using Python to interact with it. And I love the Fast API interface. Basically, using Python Fast API, you can take your application and put it on web.
Yeah, I mean, it's a quick, easy way to expose that. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
All right. Let me shut down my web server here. And then I don't think I need that. So we can jump back. So still talking a little data modeling here, Sarma. But basically, this is kind of the data flow, if you will, of what your sales application looks like. So it's like, you know, we have users create sales orders contain products, and products have properties on them like quantity and prices and things like that.
Yeah. So without going into too much detail, the inventory system is already in place, meaning when we have the products table, which we'll talk about, there is that product quantity on hand, the last column, right?
Oh, yeah, right here.
So what happens in the Python code is when it is generating the data, meaning when the sales are happening, it actually goes and deducts the quantity on hand from this table, meaning your inventory system is already inbuilt. And then, yeah, let's go into the data modeling of these tables, which are all sales related tables, right?
Yep.
So obviously, we want to do the business, we want to sell something, we need products, and that's the products table over here. Now, primary keys are kept very simple for the products table and the users table. We just want to query them by the product ID. And product ID is run between, like, it's a serial number between 1 to 1000 or 1 to 5000, whatever,
Yep.
depending on the system we set up. All the other data, including the price and quantity on hand, are auto-generated, at least in this scenario, in this sales application we are going to use. And as you see, all the queries we are going to run, they already know which product ID we are looking for. Let's say The select statement will look like select whatever columns you need from the products table where product ID is whatever the exact number it is. Let's say product ID is 5, right? So the data modeling for this table is pretty simple, just a single column for a primary key. And we know the product ID before we go and look up for the data. So that was the reason we have a simple products table. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's have a look
Yep.
at users. And users is gonna follow a simple or a similar query model. I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a simple and similar. As I said, obviously we have a lot of products. What do you do with them? You have to sell. So you have the users or customers. I just did not call them customers. I just say users. Okay, users who use this system. So every user is assigned a user ID. We know the user ID, that's why it is a primary key. So every select statement which comes into the system will say where user ID is, let's say 10. And then user email ID, user name, phone number, platform, state, all of them are randomly generated, but they look like real data because all the randomized strings are somehow there is a pattern to it. Um, and since we need data to be very random, meaning not all users will be in the same state. So when we generate this users data randomly, it uses other lookup tables to get the what states are available in US. Basically, when I was coding the system, I said, okay, let's start with a single country. Don't confuse it with so many different complicated scenarios. Even though it is US, you can tweak the data. There is one simple lookup table data loader SQL file where you can change it to suit for your region. Let's say you're from UK, you make it look like UK data. So that's not a very difficult thing. So that's simple users. So you have products, you have users. Let's look at the next table.
Yeah. So this one is where it starts to get a little tricky, but yeah. So here's where we're tracking like actual orders that have gone through the sales system.
Right. So if you look at all the columns in the orders table, obviously this is the actual sale happening, or you can call it as a header row for the sale. Like when you generate an invoice, who purchased it, what time it happened, what is the total, that kind of information is all present in this table. And earlier, as you mentioned, in Cassandra data modeling, we would like to keep all the data in one place for whatever you want to query. You don't have to do any joins with the other table. So if you look at the user data, almost the last 5-6 columns, which are all user data,
Right.
we actually put them in this table so that we don't have to go read the user table for getting, okay, who was this user, by the way? We know that the sale happened, but who is this user, right? That information is here. Now, we don't have to copy all the columns from the user table, but I just chose to put all these columns
Yep,
here.
it's whichever one's relevant for the order. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Exactly. And also in NoSQL databases, it is very common. I have seen in past that, say for example, order date, you want to break it up. Your application wants to break it up as, okay, what was the order hour? In which hour did this order go through? Or what was the order month? You just want the month stored as a separate column. And it is pretty common practice if you want to break up the date into multiple parts and you store them as separate columns. It depends on the application. Now, what I chose to do here is this is a composite primary key. You can see there are two columns in the primary key or the partition key, and then you have two other columns as clustering columns. So basically, the way it is partitioned, you take the order date, let's say for today, and order hour is, let's say, 8 o'clock in the morning, right? So whatever orders happened in the 8 o'clock hour are stored in one partition. And inside the partition, using these clustering columns, the order timestamp gives us that order. So basically, all the orders which were placed today in the 8 o'clock hour, all of those orders are in a ascending order properly. And then order code is uniquely generated UUID, and that provides the uniqueness within the partition.
Yep.
So that just basically makes the query. Now, if you want to run some analytics later on, I say, hey, what was the sale for the given hour? So here is the perfect scenario where this table will be able to serve you with all the data required for that 1 hour, and you can do your analytics on it. Let's say what was the popular item which was sold
during that part. Yeah.
Actually, no.
Yeah, maybe that's on the
You
next
cannot,
one, right?
correct. That's the next one. You cannot go to the product detail, but you can say, hey, this is how much we generated money, because there is the order total. You can just sum it up. So that's the sales orders table, where it gives you the high level of what that order contains.
Yeah.
Go ahead to the next
So if we
table.
go on, well, here's the, here's what products were in what order, on what date,
And this is pretty much similar to the previous table. We want to not just know what, so we have the order date in the partition key as the first column. The second column is the order code, which is unique orders. So all the orders which were generated on a specific day, for that order code, there will be only one row, but there will be multiple products sold to based on that order. Let's say Aaron is buying something today. He has one order in, and that order will contain, let's say, 10 products. So that's how the partition will look like. So partition will contain all the products in one place. And the product ID column, which is a clustering column, which will provide that uniqueness for each row within the partition. Okay. So I'm sure we have to play with these data models a little bit. Cassandra data modeling is a little bit tricky, but over the period of time, I have seen that your mind just works with it. Like as you see the tables, you'll get used to it. And I would say just keep doing the data modeling. Data modeling is one of the trickiest. Well, that's what gives us success.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So hey, kind of the main thing to pull back from these slides we've just looked at is that primary key is really the integral piece to how you can query data from that table. So that's kind of the main thing to remember there. All right. So hey, we can now look at the data definition language for the sales create tables CQL. And if I remember right, I think there's a hands-on immediately after this one too. Yes, there is. All right. So, 5 and 5A. So let's jump back to here for a second. I can close both of those files, but I'll leave the README open. In my Project Explorer, I'm going to close this 2.1 simple demos directory and expand this 3.1 sales app. And I'm going to click on this O2 sales create tables CQL. And you can see that we're going to start coming across a lot of those definitions that we were talking about. And beforehand, Sarma, you also mentioned about creating like lookup tables, for common data like states and maybe like easier ways to generate email addresses like this. And those are the ones that we're going to run across first. Oh, and yes, of course, also things for like product categories, some other metadata there. But here is the data for our users table. And if we scroll down a little bit more, you can see products, as well as our sales orders and sales order products are all in here. So yeah. Now, Sarma, at the bottom here, you actually do a little bit, you do two alters to set the default time to live or set a TTL on those tables. What's the thought behind that?
So when we do the Cassandra data modeling, the most interesting thing Cassandra offers is something called time to live. I know that many other databases also do this. This is a very interesting concept. Is let's say you're generating all this test data, And some of this, let's say, for example, temperature data, right? You collect temperature data every 5 seconds. And at the end of the day, you just need to keep the highest and lowest, and you don't care about keeping everything else, let's say,
Right.
right? And you want to delete it after 2 days because that data is just invalid. So whatever invalid data or like whatever is not useful any longer, when you decide to delete it, instead of doing delete commands, which put a lot of pressure on the system, Cassandra offers something called time to live. And when we use this time to live setting on the table level, whatever new data is inserted, it comes with a invisible column,
Yep.
let's say, inside the table. With every column, there is a
Yep.
timestamp,
The right
and
time.
it says,
Mhm.
okay, this row will disappear after whatever number of seconds. So you can see that calculation in the comments. This data will be disappearing after every 15 days. So the new data after 15 days will be, well, it will not disappear automatically, but there is a lot of process behind it.
Eventually.
Just to mention, repair and compaction takes
Yep.
care of it. So it's the garbage collection process. Java already has garbage collection, and that just process was just put into Cassandra. Well, Cassandra is built in
Yep.
Java, so the mindset was already there. So that's the reason we have the time to live settings here, which is also a good demo for how do you do data modeling.
Right.
Don't forget that you have TTL. And I still have a lot of people come to me say, hey, I want to purge data, and I would give you the purge scripts. I said, no, let's use the TTL.
Yep.
So there you go.
All right. So hey, so we've had a look at that. Let's take a look at step 5 here. So on my my screen here, or my terminal, I should say, I'm going to cd out of the 2.1 directory and then into the 3.1 sales app auto sales generator. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell AsterDB CQL shell that I want to load or that I want to run the CQL commands that are in this file into my workshops database. So I'm going to copy that command and paste it here. All right. So it should make a connection and put everything in. There we go. And we can also verify this too. So if we do this AsterDB CQL shell workshops, sorry, with a -e flag, the -e will allow us to run one single command inside of a CQL shell. So I'm going to use it to do a describe key space sales, because that's going to show me all of the tables that just got created.
Actually, SQL shell is so powerful, right? You can run multiple commands. The trick is just semicolon and then
Right. I
run the
suppose,
next
yeah,
command.
you could pass it with a semicolon in there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So look, there's our one of our lookup tables.
So
Yeah. Sales.
So another interesting thing is, while obviously it created all these tables, I always try to hide things here and there. Like you remember that
Oh
Scott
yeah.
Tiger from Oracle. If you look at the platforms, I really loved the way we came into smartphones. A lot of people forgot that we had Blackberries. So in the platforms, there is an interesting pun about it. Is the lookup user platforms, there is a BlackBerry entry in there. Well, you don't have data yet, I guess.
Oh, right. Because that was just the CQL. Yeah.
Yeah, but you should run it. I mean, you should totally run the select statement if you need to.
Well,
That's
here,
okay.
you know what? I
Yeah,
can
go
get
ahead.
it ready, and that way, when we do it next time, it'll be staged up, right?
Exactly.
And that was yeah. There we go.
Lookup user platforms.
And I already typed my key space, so I have that in there twice. There. Now that should come back empty. Yes. Yes, it does. Okay.
There you go.
So now that we're kind of focusing on the lookup tables, Sarma has a CQL file here that is designed just for that. Load data in lookup tables. So, yep, let's go ahead and run this.
It's just bunch of insert statements, pre-canned lookup table data, like platforms. It generates like states,
Oh, yeah.
like United States, all the states in the table.
All right, so now if I tab back to our select from that table, I should see some user platforms, including the BlackBerry you mentioned. Oh yeah, look at that. BlackBerry 6.
And let me know if you have another favorite from that list.
Well, I've been a a Linux guy forever. So that's probably the one that I would that I would associate with most there.
Yeah, look at Mozilla.
Yeah. All right. So the other thing we can do too, and I've already done a little bit of this with that query I just ran, but you can do an AsterDB SQL Shell workshops and actually look at some of these tables individually. I'm going to skip that just in the interest of time to kind of keep us moving along a little bit here. But if you look in the README, I actually do have just some quick examples of where we've done that. All right. And the next one is about generating data. So I think, yeah, we just wanted to do 5 and 5A. So, okay, so back to the presentation. Okay, data loading. All right. So now the idea is to have a look at that 3.1 sales app, that sales app generate orders pie and global settings pie. Those are really the, kind of like the two files here. Well, the settings is mainly, just about, how many you want to generate of each. The generate orders kind of assumes you've already run generate users and generate products, but it's really the one that puts everything together here. So if I jump out of this for a second, oh, and of course, right after we're done with that, we have our steps 5B, 5C, and 5D. Okay. So let's have a look, first of all, at our global settings. Now you have a few of them out here based on t-shirt sizes like large, medium, small. I've actually put together like kind of a custom one for this. And I was running through this whole thing on Monday, and I realized that 1,000 users and all those thousands of products and orders was really going to take more time than we wanted during the workshop. So I went ahead and set users down to 200, which still takes a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to let that run now while we're talking, because that does take a little bit of time. So let me do this this Python sales app generate users, and I'm going to run this and let it go while we're kind of discussing what's all happening here. So Sarma, so this is where you mentioned before about defining the read and write consistency levels. You can control how many users get generated, numbers of products, orders, and I like this one, this max products per order. So it'll kind of, is it a minimum of 5? So it picks either like 5 or 6 in this case.
So the coding such application is very difficult. What happens is inside the code there are certain places you have to hard code few values, right? So now how do you hard code? Like hard code minimum of 2 or minimum of 3? It becomes too small for a random generator. And we all know that on computers today, even with random generator, it's not really random.
Right.
There is a pattern to it. So it was a very difficult choice of whether I should have minimum of 2, minimum of 5. I just came up with the 5.
Okay.
And if you look at the orders, minimum of 10 orders, right? Even though it takes a little bit of time, and I think right now your users are generated, and you should run the generate products, because that is going to generate like 1,000 products.
One's going to take a little bit too. Yep. So if you try to follow,
you can just run.
Yeah, we're on this step 5B. That's where we're doing a lot of this. But yeah, go ahead, Sarma.
No, what I was saying is run the generate products, and then I'll explain what we are doing in these 2 steps here, right?
All right, very good.
Um, so obviously we built all our tables on AsterDB. We said, okay, these are all the sales tables. We loaded some lookup data. Before we start generating sales, we need users. So in your previous step, Aaron, you generated all the users.
Mhm.
And on this system, you generated 200 random users. They're all everywhere spread across US.
Yep.
And now you're generating the products. Basically, you generated 100 products. Now it is 200 products. So you need to sell products. And I think you're generating 1,000 products.
I think so.
So
Yeah.
so once you have the users and products generated, all the data is stored in the AsterDB. You can also switch to your Astra dashboard, and you can see the reads and writes have increased. The storage has increased.
Mhm. Mhm.
You can just quickly show while it is generating, right?
Yeah,
You can
you're right.
quickly show the
totally
dashboard.
do that.
Yeah, because I just don't want myself to feel like, oh, we are pushing all this data. Where is it going?
Yeah.
It's going into Astra. Um,
Well,
but how come you
if
have?
there must be a
How come
delay
you
in that is my guess. Yeah, we've definitely
okay.
done more than 4 write requests in just the last few minutes here.
I know. Yeah, but eventually you can see this here,
Mhm.
and it's generating all the products right now. I think it is generating 1,000 products.
I
I
think
don't
so. I
remember.
think so. Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you have questions about the code itself?
No, I don't. I think this is a really cool idea. Because it allows you to kind of build out products that or sorry data that's specific to or a little more specific to what the context of your application is running in. And that's where you look at things like if you've ever used Cassandra Stress does the same thing, but it's purely random. Cassandra Stress has no idea about really what you're trying to do with it, which is why I kind of like this approach of coming up with a good schema, coming up with at least in some cases for the lookup tables. Oh, hey, it's done. Of generating some data that kind of makes sense for your application.
We have one question on YouTube. I think you should spend like at least 1 minute
Oh,
talking about it.
what
What
is
is local
what
quorum?
is local quorum? Yes. You know what? Let me kick off step 5C here of generate our order data. There we go.
Actually, order data is pretty good because you're not generating 1,000 orders.
That's
It'll
true.
go fast.
That's true. But the idea with local quorum is that we're telling our app that we want to stay to our local data center. Now our local data center really gets defined. If I go back and look at this .env, oh no, we used to have it in here. You know what? I bet it's in the secure bundle. But anyway, it's being sticky to that US East 1 data center for now. That's kind of the idea there. And so that's what the local part does. So that way, if you have like an East data center and a West data center, your application in the East isn't jumping to the West to get its data. It's staying local to the East. And the quorum part is really about, if you look up the definition of quorum, it's a simple majority. So the idea is that you do some integer arithmetic to figure out what your quorum value is. So typically in Cassandra, and as the default in AsterDB, we have it set to place 3 replicas of each piece of data. So what's going to happen is on a query at local quorum, if you take quorum of 3 integer division divided by 2 is 1, plus 1 to get a majority is 2. So that's how you get your quorum of 2 from 3 replicas. So really what each one of these requests is going to do is when it's going ahead and doing a write to the table, it's waiting for a response back that 2 replicas have been written before it moves on to write the next one. And the same thing on reading. When you read data at quorum, it's sending a request out to all 3, but it's really only waiting for a response from 2. And as long as those 2 agree, bam, it's fine, and it'll move on. So yeah, that's a great question. All right. So hey, according to
And
this, oh, sorry.
and while you were explaining, actually, I was looking at our secure bundle,
Yeah,
and there is a file in there which is a JSON file which tells what is the local data center.
that's right.
While we create the token, and we also download the secure bundle, we actually specify which data center is your default data center if you had multiple data centers.
Right, right.
If you had only one data center for AsterDB, it might not ask you the question, but it puts that in the JSON file when you download the secure bundle.
Yeah, no, that's for sure, and that's exactly where that all gets defined. So yeah, so now that we've got this, let's take a look at some of the data that we've generated here. So I'll do an AsterDB CQL shell and workshops to tell it to go to the workshops database. And I can do just a simple use sales to make sure that all of my CQL commands kind of stay in this sales key space. And that way I don't have to prepend all of my tables with the sales key space name either. But I can do a desk tables, and you can see that, hey, all of my tables come back here. Hey, this is great. Let's just do a quick sampling of each of the ones that we've generated here. So if I do a select star from users, now we're going to query without a where clause. Typically in Cassandra, you don't want to do that. But if you throw a limit on there, at least it'll kind of short circuit that query early. So it's not putting a whole lot of stress on your system. So I'll do like a limit 5 on that users table. And as you can see, we get some users back, complete with, oh, hey, there's a BlackBerry user, Sarma. All right. But I can do the same then too with the product.
So I do have a question here. It's just
Sure.
helpful for everyone, right? We are not putting a where clause, and you are connected to one coordinator node, which will go get the data, right? So the limit, does the limit command keeps it in local node, or does it still go to the different nodes to gather the data?
It'll still have to go to the different nodes to get the data. Yeah, it'll still go based on primary token range ownership. And that all depends on again, like the hashed values of whatever you're using for your partition key. So it is going to multiple nodes, but it's just kind of stopping itself. That's the difference between, doing it 5 times isn't a big deal. Doing it 5,000 times, that, I don't know if I'd do that.
Yeah, so you're now going into the Murmur 3, deep into Murmur 3.
Right.
Yeah.
So hey, we have products out there. I can take a look at sales_orders. I think that's what it is, right? Sales orders. Yeah, there we go. So we did get some orders created. That's a plus.
Yeah, you can even limit it to like 2 rows. That'll make it look better.
Yeah.
Because we don't have much space here in the
Oh,
console.
that's a good point. Yeah. And I can do a sales order products, I think is what the next one. Yep, there we go. There we
Correct.
go. So yeah. So I think we're good here. So let's progress in our README a little bit here. Oh, yep. Okay. So the next we can talk about using Fast API with this. So let me jump back to the presentation here. Yep, we've generated our data and we've verified our data, so we know it's out there. All right, so now let's take a look at our RESTful service layer. Using Fast API with Unicorn here. I talked a little bit about some of the web request methods. In our previous example, we used both get and post, but you can also use put. There's a debate out there, about when is the right time to use post, when is the right time to use put. Generally speaking, if you're writing new data, you're doing a post. If you're updating data, you're doing a put. And then of course there's delete also. That one's not used terribly often, but you absolutely can. You can kind of process it in a similar way as to how you're doing like a write. Which really, if you think about it, delete is a write inside of Cassandra anyway, so that's not far off. All right, so for our RESTful service layer to kind of hit these, we have several backend services here that I've exposed. But you know, it allows us to pull back users and products by ID. We can pull back orders by an order date and an hour, as well as products for an order, you know, based on a date and then like an order code or an ID. Again, just based on time, I want to save some time for the quiz at the end too. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but I mean, feel free to explore this API as much as you want. Essentially, how each one of these is built. Now, if I'm going to focus on the user by ID service here, essentially what we're doing is we define our prepared statement ahead of time. And we check to see if that prepared statement has already been instantiated. And if it hasn't, that's when we go ahead and we run this session.prepare along with our CQL and our where clause going to that user ID equal 1. So this is in Python. This is how we kind of like set up our prepared statements. And the idea, Sarma brought this up before, but remember, prepared statements equals faster queries, because what happens when you reuse a prepared statement, it doesn't have to run it through the parser again. It can just go ahead and pull it by that prepared statement ID that it has in Cassandra's prepared statement cache, and it just goes super quick that way.
Yes, exactly. It is like a pre-compiled code. A lot of people, you know, even in the training sessions, they keep saying Python is interpreted language. But if you go look at your Python code after running it, there is a hidden folder which has a compiled code in it. So, and then that gets compiled, to run it quickly. It is called PyCache.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you can do some research.
Yeah, nice little parallel there. All right. So also, you know, to kind of help out with our RESTful call, I've created a a user object class here. And again, it just kind of has columns that match, or has properties, I should say, which match the columns in that that user Cassandra table. So this is pretty simple, but this is where we put it all together. This is really where we have that that get user method, which is exposed with this /user/ID here. So as you can see, we get our session, which should already be created in the background. And remember, with connections and sessions with Cassandra, you really only ever want to create one and then just reuse that one over and over again. That's we're going ahead and getting our prepared statement. And again, remember, we've got that check in there that says, hey, if my prepared statement has already been created, there's no sense in re-preparing it. We can just reuse it. And then we're doing a return. Didn't want to do that. Doing a return where we're mapping our user object model. We're mapping it to the actual rows that are returned, and we're doing a for each down here inside of that session execute against that result set to make sure that it's matching all those up as they come back. So those are really kind of like the three pieces that make up each one of these services is kind of that prepared statement, and then like the object model, and then the method that's exposed via RESTful service. All right. So really, I think this is the last one here. Wow, hands-on number 6. We're moving along. Is really just to kind of explore that API there. So if I jump out of here, let me just see what we've got. Okay, yep. All right. So if I go back to my Git pod, what I can do is jump down to, I got ahead of myself. Here we go. Ubicorn Sales App API. All right, so I'm just going to paste that command in. And what that's going to do is, again, look for my Sales App API Py. And we actually just went through some of the code which is in that. So we'll be utilizing that in a second here. All right. So now if I go back to my other terminal session here, I can do a clear just to kind of clear that up a little bit. Let's go ahead and pull back a user. So I can do a curl here. We can use that that user endpoint that we were just looking at. I'm pretty sure user 1001 is out there. And again, I'm going to want to make sure that I'm setting this, content type in the header just so that my JSON looks okay. Oh, it didn't like that. Oh.
Did we generate only 1,000 users?
Oh,
maybe
you know what?
reason.
I bet you that was it. I have to stay under here. Let me go 101 instead of 1,000. Hey, there we go. Right. I forgot that you generate the user IDs sequentially.
Yes. So you see this user is still using Mozilla from Florida.
Yep. Let's see. And we can also look at some of our products as well. So that same let's see here. Although I'm probably going to want to edit this because I'm pretty sure I only generated 1,000 products. Yeah, we'll just do that. Oh, there we go. And then let me add in my my header on there. There we go. So you can see this product I pulled back is under garden tools. And it costs $37.26. And oh, we've only got one on hand. Actually, we have 1,356 of them on hand. So we're okay. We're okay in the quantity department there. Now for orders, let's go ahead and I actually have this doing a limit 5 here, but let's just look at and maybe I'll edit that. There we go. Do a 2. Oh, right. You know what? Oh, is it because I had the extra slash? It's because I had the extra slash. And I didn't send the header along, but that's okay for now. We can see what's going on here. So here we have our order timestamp, and then we also have our order hour, and that's actually going to be important for pulling back orders that were generated in a certain hour, which is what we're going to do next here. So I know in the example it says January 20th, which was the date that I put the README together. But you'll want to make sure that here we go, that you're adjusting that date based on what we've just done here. So today is February 8th. So I'll go 2023. And I'll say 02-08, and then we'll say hour, and the hour in GMT, I believe, was 17. So I'll say that, and there we go. Now we have orders with products coming back here that were all done in that hour, which is basically all of the orders that we just generated. And I can actually see, using this last one here, products for a specific order. If I just go ahead and grab date there, and then the date, as we know, is 2023-02-08, and our order code. Let's see if I can quick find an order code in here.
I see it on the fourth
line,
if
huh?
you don't scroll.
Oh, yeah.
End
There
of
we
fourth
go.
line is order
Thank
code.
you, Sarma. I was having a hard time pulling it out of that text soup there. All right, so let me put the code in. And now if we run that, we should get products back for a specific order that we placed before. So yeah, like I said, feel free to clone this repo, explore this. Yeah. So essentially, I think that's about all we've got for the hands-on, Sarma.
So if you look at closely, like whatever output you got in the previous terminal, right? So whatever the order was, you see the light bulbs. There were 9 of the light bulbs which were sold in that order.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And product price for each of that light bulb is $43. I don't know why it is so much.
Those must be really good light bulbs, I guess.
Paid, well, you don't have to buy it as, nowadays we have Wi-Fi enabled light bulbs. They cost a lot of money. Yeah. So obviously this data now, what I was envisioning, what I wanted to always do was take this data and do some analytics. Can we do predictive analytics? Like say, for example, what will be sold tomorrow? That will be great
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah.
And while you were showing all this, I was thinking if we had, obviously it will come out sometime soon. Everybody is talking about Chat GPT. Using API during data generation, I can say, hey, tell me about a garden tool, right? And then use that actual uh, description and the product name, put it into
That's
our
a good
table.
point. Yeah, you can, again, it's all about that
Picture.
application context, and you can use Chat GPT to do that. Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad
Yep,
idea.
yep.
All right. Well, I think if I bounce back to our presentation here. All right. So hey, yeah, that's pretty much about it. I think the next thing we've got is the quiz on Mentee. So if everybody still has Mentee,
Yeah,
yeah.
good
Oh,
stuff.
sorry, what?
Good stuff, I'm saying.
Let me jump back to where I have this going. All right. Remember out on Mentee, we have I'm going to put the code in here just so that everyone can see it again. There we go. 43, 41, 70, 20. Oh, wait, and Nightbot's working. Hey, thank you, Nightbot. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start the quiz. The idea is I think there are 5 questions in here that kind of relate to the things that Sarma and I have shown so far. If you answer faster, you'll get more points. So it is kind of timed. And the idea is that the top 3 winners will get a coupon to take Sarma's. I think it's called Everything You Need to Know About Apache Cassandra, right? Which is like a 7-hour course on Udemy. There's a ton of content in that. So that actually is a really, really sweet deal. So yeah, and thank you, Sarma, for putting those coupons up as well and offering those out.
Yeah, you are welcome. So that content was recorded not long ago, like I think it was like
Oh,
2 years ago. But still very valid. Like people I have seen, like most of the people I interact with, they come from the RDBMS
Right.
background.
Right.
So the course itself is designed in such a way that I'm telling you everything about Cassandra, whatever you need to know. But if you're coming from RDBMS background, you can just relate to it
Right.
like that. So it's just useful.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Best of luck
Let's see if
for
we
the
can get
mentee.
started here. All right. So if I move on. All right. So yes, quiz time. All right. So kind of like you know what? Before we dive into this, Melroy brings up a good point that he doesn't see the purple background. Let me just punch this into Mentee and see what I get back here. All right, so our code is 43417029. Okay, yep, and that's okay. Oh,
So
and going to quiz time,
I
it like reset everybody, it looks like. Ugh, I'm sorry about that. Let me wait a minute for everybody to jump in. So yeah, Sarma, go ahead.
no, what I was saying is just 5 high fives or just high fives. I did see that screen before. Probably you had to just refresh your mentee screen.
Okay.
And once you get the quiz time slide on the mentee screen, you can just do a thumbs up.
All right. Yep. Somebody just said in the chat, I opened a Mentee in a new instance and it works. So that's good to know. Yep. I know we had like 20 some in there just before, and I see 10 now. So maybe we'll wait just a second for everyone to get a chance and get squared away in there. Good. I see 11. Yep. New tab. Shentu, if that's how you say your name. Thank you for pointing that out. That new tab's a good idea. Yep.
Yeah, Shantanu.
Shantanu. Yep.
Yeah, so Mentee looks like we just have to refresh the browser window or start it
Yep.
fresh.
Okay. All right. 12. Oh, 13, 14. Good, good, good. All right. Well, I think we can get started here. Oh, so yeah. There's been an important note posted in the chat. The question will show up first on your screen with a delay from YouTube. Because remember, there is like a couple second delay between what Sarma and I say and what we show and what happens up on YouTube. You'll want to pay attention to like your phone or your other browser tab or something like that, just to make sure that you're getting in at the right time to answer. So, all right, we got 14. That hasn't changed in a while. Let's move on here. All right. So question 1 of 6. Oh, we got 19 in. Outstanding. And here we go. Answer faster to get more points. Which is a true statement about Astra DB? It's a database as a service. It's built on Apache Cassandra. Can deploy to AWS, GCP, and Azure, or all of the above.
That's a trick question.
I mean, technically they're all correct, but really they're, yeah, it's the all of the above. So yeah. And yes, like you said, Cedric, yep, just warming everybody up. Yep. All right. Okay. Leaderboard from the first question. All right. Watson, Dr. Centipede, and Tom are our leaders. All right. Okay, moving on for the next question here. All right, 2 of 6. Ready. And remember, answer faster to get more points. Why should you prepare CQL statements? And prepared statements are required, speeds up your queries, ensure they're ready for the send stage, to properly cook them for guests. Every now and then we have a goofy one in there. I actually pulled this one from another presentation we had. I hope nobody picks that one. Okay, yeah, nobody picked that one. All right. To speed up queries, most of you got it right. Outstanding. Showing the next options for me without the question. Ugh. Yeah, Miller, I'm not sure what could be going on with yours. I'm sorry about that.
Mentee is really acting up today.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, let's take a look at our leaderboard here. All right. It is still a battle of Watson, Dr. Centipede, and Tom. And Dr. Centipede was the fastest that time. So, hey, good. All right. Let's move on to the next one here. All right. Question 3 of 6. Oh, are there 6? Oh, I thought I only had 5 in there. All right. I could be wrong. All right. Which CQL command should we use to query data? When we query data with CQL, are we doing a select, a get, a pull, or a create? Actually, I think this one's pretty easy, but that's just me. There we go. There's a select. Yep. Yeah, I know the get could have been a little on the confusing side because we did talk about get for web requests, but really a get and a web request is doing a select underneath the hood at the database level. All right, let's check our leaderboard for any shakeup here. Oh, a little bit of a switch. Yep, we've got Pingu joining Watson and Dr. Centipede in the in the top 3 here. Melroy brings up, a point about, it prevents injection attacks, and that should have been an option. Well, the thing is that for SQL, yes, it does. For Cassandra CQL, you can only run one command at a time that way through a prepared statement. It'll stop you. It won't let multiple commands run. So that in itself will protect that your typical injection attack. But no, that's a good point, because that does actually happen in like publicly exposed APIs that sit on top of SQL related databases.
So I do have a follow-up before you go to the question, right? I'm just asking because this came up, the SQL injection. The SQL does not allow multiple queries to run, or is it the driver which stops you to run in the prepared statements?
That's a good point, because you can get away with it from using Astra CLI and from using SQL shell at the command line. I bet that's a good point. I wonder if it's the prepared statement itself and the driver that doesn't allow that. That could be.
That's my guess too, but we have to go back and
We'd have
check.
to have a look at that. Yeah. All right. Question 4. Everybody's ready here. What is a key space? All right, I think I made a point to call this one out. Space to store SSH keys, secrets management for Astra, a dark website for betting on the Super Bowl, or a logical structure for containing our tables. All right, most of you got it. Yeah, there we go. Logical structure containing our tables. Outstanding.
I think we have everyone here today is all Cassandra experts.
Yeah, nobody picked that one about betting on the Super Bowl. I thought for sure I'd get one person on that. No. All right. Okay. Oh, Constant Learner has jumped up into the top 3. So hey, we're moving along here. With 2 questions to go to kind of round this out. All right, question 5 of 6. Here we go. Which CQL directive restricts how many rows are returned from a query? Is it filter, less than, limit, or top? And we went over this one quite a bit. Oh, wow. Yeah, almost everyone got that one. That was good. All right.
The top was myself. I just wanted to see what happens.
Oh, that makes me feel a little bit better. Okay, good. All right. So let's see how we fared this time. Yeah, lots of people got this one right. So basically it was a matter of how fast you answered. Watson maintaining that tight lead there. Actually, Watson's pretty far ahead of Pingu and Constant Learner, but at this point, I think a few others we could see a shakeup here with this last question. So hey, yeah, good job, everyone. All right, moving on. Question 6 of 6. This is it. This is for everything. All right, just a second here for everything to come through. All right, everybody ready? Here we go. Which part of a table definition determines how that table can be queried? Is it the clustering order, the primary key, a secondary index, or a foreign key? I feel like we did a good job of hitting on this one today, but we'll see. Hey, all right, we got a lot of people got that one. There we go. but yes, the answer there, it definitely is the primary key. Yep. All right. So our final leaderboard, how did we shake up here? Oh, Pingu is our champion, followed by Watson and Tom. So hey,
I have
oh yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I have a question,
Sure.
Aaron. So do you know if mentee selects those pictures along with the name
It does. Yep.
automatically?
Yep.
Okay, then you should remove me from the list. I'm Watson.
You're Watson. What are you doing for Sarma?
No, I was not sure. What happened was when I was trying mentee, it did not ask me what name, and also it did not ask me the watermelon. So I just wanted to check. That's why I dropped down. Now you should make a note of who is the three people: Pingu,
Yep.
Tom, and Dr. Centipede, not
Tom
Watson.
and Dr. Centipede. That's right.
Yeah,
Yep.
please note that.
So, okay. So to claim your coupon from Sarma, I have instructions what to do here next. So don't on your phone is where you want to is what you want to screenshot. So yeah, so you look at this. Come on. Hey, okay, here we go. So you see the one that's okay here? It'll say you finished third or whatever you finished, or so we'll accept first, second, third, and fourth this time, because Sarma. But like showing the leaderboard like I just had, well, I mean anybody could take that screenshot, right? So basically whatever you've got that says what you finished, that's what you should take, and email that screenshot to me. And I'll make sure that you get your coupon code for Sarma's course on Udemy. All right. Oh, we're at 11:59. Wow, we were like right on time. I didn't even plan that. This came out like perfectly. All right. Hey, I just wanna put out a plug for our Discord server. Again, if you have any questions on Cassandra or AsterDB, feel free to reach out and hit us up on that Discord server. We're happy to help you, and we have folks who watch that at all hours of the day. So wherever you are in the world, it doesn't matter. We're out there and we can help you. Of course, check out our DataStax developers YouTube page. Obviously, if you're here, you know where it is. But we have all the other videos out there of all the other workshops and some other things that we've done. Feel free to have a look at those. And same thing, if you find yourself stepping through an older workshop and you have questions, you can reach out on Discord, and we're happy to help you out. Hey, I already mentioned Discord, but we have as other resources, we have like academy.datastax.com. It's I believe it's driven by like Catapod, where it takes you through kind of like some learning exercises. You obviously where our workshops and our YouTube channel are, but that's really kind of the one new thing on here, is that yeah, absolutely check out DataStax Academy. That'll be a big help to some folks. And hey, you're not alone in your journey. Again, I've talked about Discord a lot, but again, there's our Discord URL. Feel free to ask questions that are development related out on the Cassandra tag and Stack Overflow. If they're info related, like hey, why is my repair hanging? That's a good question for DBA Stack Exchange, again in the Cassandra tag. And of course, I can't talk enough about Sarma's courses. Check him out on Udemy. He's Aura Mad. That's his user out there. If you go to Udemy user Aura Mad, you'll find Sarma out there with all his other courses. He's just putting out there on AsterDB. That's really good too. I've run through that one. So yeah. All right. With that, I think we're all done. We're good to go. Sarma, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us here and help us present some of the content that you've created, and just thanks for everything you do in the community too, bud. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for the support. I'm excited to be here today. I'm also will be available to answer questions on GitHub. Like somebody has issues, I can reply.
Excellent.
And thank you to Cedric for managing it in the
Oh
background.
yes, Cedric's a rock star. Yep.
Yeah, he's a rock star. Thank you very much, Aaron.
All right. Hey, thanks everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.